welcome to Every Day is a New Day.
Kim O'Neill from KimO'NeillCoaching.com.
We are live. All right, welcome to Every Day is a New Day. I am your host, Kim O'Neill, and I am so excited about today's show. Today we have with us, our guest is Sharón Lynn Wyeth. She is, I'm going to tell you more about her, but just real quick, she's a professional name analyst. Yeah, you want to hear more about that? I bet you do, because I do too. But so welcome, Sharón. I'm glad to have you here.
Kim, it's delightful to be here.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So to start off the show, I want to ask you, what does every day is a new day mean to you?
Okay, now if I look at it jokingly, I think every day we get a brand new chance to make brand new mistakes. I mean, I really do look at it that way. Not the old kind of mistakes. Hey, we get a chance to make new ones and go, oops, again.
Right?
I mean, don't we learn from the errors that we make? I mean, they're really only mistakes if we don't correct them.
Yes.
So every day we have a chance to make new goofballs and correct the old ones. And we all learn from that. And when things go too smoothly, are we really learning? I don't know. I don't know. But there's not a day that goes by that I didn't go, oh, oops, I could have done that better. And then attempted to correct it that evening or when I'm doing reflection or the next day. And then think, okay, brand new day, no mistakes yet. Let's see how far we can get into the day before one happens.
I love it. Yes. Because, I mean, if everything was always going smoothly, then we probably wouldn't be human somehow.
Exactly.
Right. So, but it's certainly nice when things do go smoothly. We get a little reprieve from, okay, I think I've made progress. I've actually learned from some of those past goofball mistakes.
That's right. And you see how much of your day you can go without too many errors, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I love it. Okay, so with that, thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. With that said, I would love to throw a question out to you, the viewer, and I'm going to pop it up on the screen here. Question of the day. What's good about today? What's good about today? Because it's all about that choice, choosing how to see things, and where we focus, where we place our attention. So I want to ask you to just think about what's good about today for you. Sometimes it's a little harder than others to find something that feels good, that feels better. I mean, good's just a way to sum up something that you can pull out that's going right.
What'd be really interesting is what's good about today based on your age. Because at my age, I think I woke up. Hey, we're good. We're starting off well.
Oh, I like it. That's a good one. Okay, so I'll answer for me. So what's good about today for me is, number one, I've been super excited to speak with you, Sharón. So that's probably an easy one.
Bless you.
Yeah. Well, number two is I had some really colorful, vivid dreams today. And that's not typical for me. So that was really exciting, feeling like, life's getting a little more vivid, something different. So
see, and I would look at and say, and what did you have next to your head as a book when you went to sleep last time? Sorry about that.
That's
what
okay.
did you have? Because, I'll turn this off. Because, whatever book or anything that's around our head when we're sleeping at night, it influences us in our dreams and as we're sleeping. So that's why they always say sleep with a book underneath your pillow, even though that's uncomfortable. It just needs to be near there, And I have literally woken up in the middle of the night thinking I'm reading in my sleep. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? And grabbed that book and gone to that page that I saw in my dreams. And sure enough, is exactly the same. So I so believe that. Put the books next to your head. So that's why I'm saying, what did you have next to your head that was very colorful that suddenly it impacted your dreams in color?
Oh, I love that. Okay, I didn't have any books, but I had watched a YouTube video. And so I wonder if that had anything to do with it. But certainly I put books under my pillow in high school.
Yes, absolutely.
Trying to do that osmosis. Let me see if I can ace this exam by just putting the book under my head tonight.
Well, because I've woken up after reading and then getting all excited that I'm reading in my dream, and then I've gone to that book and found the exact same thing. I know it just sounds really incredible, but because I've done it enough times, I always think when I see that I'm I'm waking up enough to realize that I'm reading in my sleep. I need to be able to stay in that state without going, oh my gosh, look what's happening. And then it goes away, of course. Well, like, oh, I blew it.
Well, for you, the viewer, I would love for you to share with us as well. What is going well for you today, or what's good about today? There's nothing that is too small. So if you are watching us live, do please communicate with us, and we'll be taking a look to see what's going well for you. And certainly stay tuned, because we are going to be talking to Sharón about, have her analyze a few names for us. I'm so excited about that. I hope you are too. So if you want your name analyzed, then be here live and definitely comment within this actual video that's being recorded. So for those watching on the replay, we do show up on Facebook, but then you actually have to click on the video and comment within there so we can see your comments. So, okay, but Sharón, let me go ahead and introduce you a little more formally. So I'm going to read to the audience your bio.
Okay.
And let me just get that in front of me. Okay, so Sharón Lynn Wyeth, and yes, it's Sharón, not Sharon, is recognized internationally as a name expert, as she can determine one's strengths, challenges, and the purpose of one's life by deciphering a person's name. She created Neimology Science. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yes, you did.
Okay, good. Okay. She created Neimology Science, the study of the placement of the letters in a name, after 15 years of research, followed by 3 years of testing her theories in over 70 countries, including Russia, India, and China. She then continued to develop how to interpret names over the next 17 years, which is why Neimology Science is so accurate today. Isn't that so cool that something so awesome like this has all this research behind it? This is just me. This isn't in her bio.
Well, and the trademark, when I went to trademark the name, I just wanted to trademark Neimology because it's spelled the Latin way, Neim. That's Latin for name.
Okay.
So Neimology. And when I went to do that, it was the trademark office that looked at everything and said, no, this is a science. You can only trademark it if you name it Neimology Science. They're the ones that made that determination, not me.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's really intriguing to know. Okay. Here's just some of the cool things she's able to do with this science. She assists HR departments of different businesses in narrowing down the candidates to be interviewed. She assists lawyers in how to present cases to judges, and couples and families on how to better communicate with each other. Her best-selling book, Know the Name, Know the Person, has won an award for excellence in writing. And Sharón is a frequent guest on both radio and television, and I am so pleased to have her with us tonight. So,
me too, Kim, because you have an awesome name. And I always have to evaluate everybody's name. And you just have one of the best out there. So I thought, oh, good. I can't wait to be on Kim's show.
Oh, okay. Well,
so some of what it says is that you are a natural leader. And when you lead, everybody wins. You always create these win-win scenarios, and that you're very people inclusive. You want to include everybody. Of course, that means you also want to be included. So let's say we're all going bowling and you don't like to bowl. If we were all your friends and we were all going, you would still want us to ask you. Even if it was the 100th time we were all going bowling, we would say, Kim, have you changed your mind yet? Do you want to go bowling with us? And you, for the 100th time, could say, no, I don't like to bowl. But you still want us to ask so that you know that you were included. Okay?
That is so true. Yes. Oh, my gosh. Okay, so I'm going to just take a real quick check to see who's here. Yay, we've got a few people here with us live. So if you would like your name analyzed, then definitely, just maybe type your name down below so we can be certain to check your name. Okay. Okay. So Sharón, I want to ask you, how did you even get into this line of work?
Well, it was my 7th year of teaching, and we get this list of 150 students that we're going to be teaching for middle school, 5 groups of 30 each. So you start doing random seating charts, because every good teacher knows that you have to have some kind of a seating chart. So you tell them right away who's boss. Right. So I'm doing these seating charts, and I notice that my brain is saying, oh, don't put Josh next to Julie, because together they're going to be clowns, and Stephanie's going to be stubborn, and Derek's going to need extra help, and put them up close. And anyway, by the time I started the 4th class, all of a sudden it dawned on me. I went, wait a minute. This is what I do when I know the kids. I don't know these kids. I only have their names. So I got really curious, and I said, okay, what is my brain telling me about each of these kids? I went back and I wrote down from each of my 150 what my impression was off their name. I put it aside till winter break. And then when I got to it, I wanted to get to know the kids for who they were. When I read it, I thought, oh my gosh, this is so accurate. So my brain, thoroughly trained in patterns, being a math major and having my master's degree, I thought, okay, it's picked up some kind of a pattern. How do I make it conscious? Well, that's what took me 15 years. It's trial and error. You know, how do scientists do anything? It's trial and error, make a theory, test the theory, modify the theory, go for again. You know, anyway, 15 years. And then by that time, I had talked with enough people. And so I started getting invited different places. And I was already going to speak in different places during spring break and summers on spiritual things. So now I was going to also talk on names. And everybody kept saying, oh, I know somebody else that would love to have you go there. So by word of mouth, I was invited to come talk in 72 countries and 49 of our states. And that's why I did my research while I was there. Does it work the same in their language versus ours? You know, as long as they have our lettering, it works. And I continue to do my research because I kept thinking, if I'm blowing it or if it's not accurate, somebody's going to tell me. And when I was talking with these different groups, if somebody asked me a question that I hadn't thought of earlier, you know, or it didn't naturally flow into a segment, I would literally stop and say, wait a minute, I'm writing that one down. So in my book, there's a what if chapter for all those questions. What if this happened? Or what if you have a number instead of a name? Or what if you know, whatever. So I have a whole what if chapter to answer all those questions.
Gosh, this is so cool. You know, you already answered a question or something that I was going to touch on because I had seen another interview where you said that you're a math major. And I thought, how does a math major get into something that's more personality oriented? So I love that you, I mean, is there anything extra that, have you ever been intrigued by names prior to being a teacher or involved in math?
I love that question because my mother will tell you that I didn't talk until I talked in a full sentence. And the first sentence out of my mouth was, you got my name wrong. And I wouldn't go by it. She tried to call me Sharon and I would get mad. She said I was the angriest child because I would say, don't call me that. That's not my name. And then she went to a wedding where the rabbi pronounced the name Sharon, Sharone, and she came and told me that. And my whole body vibrated. And I said, that's my name. So then I switched within 3 days and it was Sharone.
Wow.
So, okay, so some part of me knew.
Yeah. So, okay, that leaves me curious. How does, you've got one spelling, but pronounced different ways. How does that impact the personality definition or description?
Well, you take both the spelling, which is dominant, and you take the sounds and you interpret them. So for an example, let's take the name Xena. You hear a Z, but it's spelled Xena. So you interpret the X and the Z in the first letter position because one you're hearing and one you're seeing. So you interpret both. Okay. So,
yeah. Good. Well, okay, I have one more question and then we'll go ahead and get to some of our live viewers' names. I'm so glad you guys are putting your names in the hat there. So what about names that are homonyms? So for instance, let's say you've got Tom, T-O-M or T-H-O-M, or John, J-O-N versus J-O-H-N. Is there a difference?
Yes, because their spelling is different because you're going by spelling and sound. Okay. So because the spelling's different, like a T-O-M, T's and M's are letters of extreme. Like in Kim, I always joke when I see a T or an M because I think they only want to do what they want to do. They don't want to do what they don't want to do. They do everything in extreme, right? And it causes extreme to the letters next to them. Well, you have family next to it. So you're extreme about family and relationships and all that's extra important to you. Okay. So anything that a T or an M are by, those letters are taken to extreme. Well, if you have Tom, T-O-M, both the O is extreme on both sides. So that O is just like dominant, what that stands for. But if you have a T-H-O-M, the T makes the H extreme and the M makes the O extreme. So now you've got two letters that you're taking to extreme. Plus you have the ligature of the T-H, which says you like to talk and tell other people what to do, but you don't like to listen too much.
Oh no. Okay.
It wouldn't be true in a T-O-M because they don't have the T-H combo.
Wow. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of the names that you guys have shared with us. I love, love, love this. So our very first one, let's look at the name Nicole, Nicole.
Now, I need at least the first letter of the last name, or else it's very generic to every Nicole out there because I have nothing to drop it into. The last name always represents your environment. The first name is the essence of who you are. The middle name is where you go when you're under stress. And if you believe in reincarnation, it's because it also represents your very last life. And of course, you had a whole lifetime doing that. So that's why you're comfortable and you go there. And then your last name represents the environment. So I have to be able to drop the first two names into the last name. And so I need at least that first letter of the last name to start dropping, or else every Nicole is going to sound the same.
Okay, so for everyone out there who's typing in your names live, do go ahead and put a first initial as well. And gosh, I'm already going to have to rewatch this myself because there's so much I want to learn. And your book is already out, correct?
Oh yes, it's been out since 2006, and the second one out of the trilogy came out a year and a half ago, and that's Know the Name, Know the Spirit, and that's all about your purpose. So the first one's about your personality, the second one's about your purpose. What's your soul purpose? And it also deals with what if your soul purpose conflicts with your personality? What do you do? Okay, so that's all in the second one. And the third one in the trilogy is coming out this December, and that's like, what's your health predispositions based on your name? So you can already see somebody, what they're going to get later on, health-wise, where the challenges are. And the whole purpose in writing that book was to hopefully, if you look at it and you can go, hey, if this is a tendency of people with this name or in my letterings, what can I do now to make sure that doesn't happen?
Okay. So for people who completely changed their name,
it's in the
their
birth
health
name.
Change too?
It's in the birth name.
You
read the birth name.
Got it. Okay. So
does Nicole have a first letter for me of the last name?
It looks like we do. It looks like last name starts with an L. So Nicole.
L first. So she was taught confidence. Okay.
Yeah.
In Nicole's full name, does she have 3 L's or not? Do we know?
It's just 1 L. Oh, if her full name,
1 and the last name starts with 1. Does she have another one in the last name or 1 in the middle? Just because that's
her last name here. In fact, let me pop this up. Her name is Nicole Marie Lathy.
Okay, got it. So she doesn't have 3 L's. I'm so glad. I always look for that. Okay. Because 3 L's is like a huge warning that you just need to know. If anybody has, if they're looking at their full name, 3 L's, it means that they're either the perpetrator or the recipient of violence, can be. And the most important thing is that they can get misdiagnosed by allopathic medicine. So they need to go a naturopathic way, because if they're misdiagnosed, whatever happens to them can affect them for the rest of their life in their body. So that's why I'm always looking. The minute I see 2 L's, I'm going, okay, is there a third? Wow. Okay, because the name also has the solutions, how to solve those problems. And then I want to say, if I see the problem, I want to give you the solution. Okay, so in Nicole's name, she has in there that people would not realize it, but she really wants to be in charge of her. And she likes to be the one in charge and in control. Okay, and it's like it's buried in there. So as you get to know her, you realize that. But she covers it so nicely with her generosity and her smiles. And Nicole's usually look very pretty. And they have their own organizational style, not that anybody else can follow it. And they have their own way of memorizing things. Okay, again, not that anybody else would use that method. But she has that same inclusivity that you have that she really likes. And she wants to be in charge of her. She doesn't want to be in charge of anybody else, but she likes to be in charge of situations. Okay. And if that means in able to be in charge of the situation, I've got to be in charge of the other people too. Oh, well, that just is a side thing. Okay. What's nice in Nicole's name is the older she gets, the better her life will get. You know, she saved the best part for last. That's just some of what your name says.
That is awesome. And Nicole, of course, was commenting saying that was accurate for her. So that's really cool. Okay, let's try another one.
Okay.
Let's try Donald Charles Garrity Jr.
Okay. So I love this one. I'm such a visual learner. I love it when I can see it. Okay. So Donald has his own sense of what's right and wrong based on his understanding of divinity. Okay. So whatever his belief systems are in the result of religion or spirituality or whatever he wants to call it, okay, his understanding of how the world works, how the universe works, he makes all of his decisions and all of his actions based on his understanding of his relationship with the divine. Okay, that's really important to him. And he has that all the way through his name. And he has it where he may have started with religion, but it gets changed to spirituality. Or he may have started with spirituality and people try to force religion, but he would have ended up with spirituality. Okay, any way it went, he would have ended with spirituality. And that to me means that it doesn't become a belief because it was told, it's because it's in the heart and it's being lived. It becomes real and living within him. Okay, he has a logical deductive mind. It's very practical, step by step, going down, you know, all the steps, very practical. He loves to nurture everybody around him, but he expects loyalty in return. And he loves to be the boss. Oh my gosh, he's got it all the way through the name. Just put me in charge. I'll do it best. Now, Donald, you have a warning in your name that I'm just going to give you, and that is you got to watch your temper when systems don't work. That's what irritates you. This system isn't working. This thing doesn't work like it's supposed to. This process doesn't work like it's supposed to. And then you can get your blood boiling, and then I would worry about your heart. Okay? So you just got to watch the temper that comes up when systems don't work.
Wow. And is there anything added on? I hope you didn't say it and I just didn't hear it about the junior part. Someone has junior.
I didn't interpret that because a lot of what's in junior is very challenging. I mean, from what I know on names, guys, I would never attach a junior. I would say the second, you know, or I would say little and big. You know, I would, you know, this is the big one and that's the little one. I mean, I just wouldn't use the word junior because it just adds so many challenges. Now, the third is okay. If you want to put in the third, you know, or the fourth or the fifth, they're okay. But that junior, and if you do have junior, I'd go by JR. I wouldn't spell the thing out.
Okay. Well, yeah, right. Oh, yeah.
I'd minimize.
I agree with you. Absolutely. So, okay, let me ask you, Sharon, and we'll do some more. So if you are wanting your name analyzed, then do continue to put your name down in the comments below. And be sure to put your first name and at least your last and first initial, your last initial. Okay, but Sharon, what do you love most about this, about being able to do this?
Well, first of all, I never meet a stranger. Because the minute somebody introduces themselves, I'm off and running. And if it's a name that can be spelt many different ways, like Kim could be K-Y-M or K-I-M, or, you know, you can get really creative. I always say, how do you spell that? Never has anybody refused to spell their name for me. It's like, oh, she's interested. And they have no idea that while they're spelling, I'm analyzing. You know, so by the time we're done, I know who I'm talking with. But what I really like about being able to do names is how many people I'm able to assist in getting to know themselves better, to understand why they're doing certain things. The problems or the challenges that come in a name, the solutions are also there. So when I see a challenge, I'm able to say, oh, and you know how to fix that or solve that or, you know, overcome that or whatever. And the other thing is HR departments will give me the job description as a list and then the list of names. And I'm able to help put together the right people for the right job. That's a win-win. Companies have less turnover. It takes me a lot less time. I've been tested by so many companies, and it takes me a lot less time than it takes them. And if they can get my input first, it saves them a lot of time and therefore money. And people are staying longer because they're happier and the company's happier. I mean, it's just, I love that. And then I get to work with lawyers. Oh, I just love this. They give me the name of their client and the name of the judge. And we say, how do we need to present this case so that the client knows we're working on their behalf because they're hearing all the right things, and we're pinging all the judges' soft spots so they're going to want to vote with our client. They're going to want to make the decision for us instead of against us because we've pinged them with what's in their name. You know, for an example, oh my God, let's say that the judge has fairness in their name. So then as you're doing it, you're going to say, blah, 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 blah happened. And was that fair? And do you think that was fair? And then this happened. And you think that was fair? You know, and so as you're presenting, you're going to be pinging because they have fairness issues in their name. You know, and so you look at the name and you go, where can I really reach that judge so that judge wants to help my client more than the other client? So what sentences, what words do I need to use? And so I love to do that too. Or picking juries, who's going to side, who's got more of a tendency that's going to agree with the person that's on trial for the lawyer that's hiring me, because I don't make determinations, innocence or guilt. I just look at names and say, the judge will favor, these guys will favor this person more than the rest of them. So that's just all fun. And then I love being called in when people aren't getting along, because they don't have to say anything. You can look at the names and compare them and go, oh, when you do this, it pisses them off. And when you do this, they don't like that. And you don't have to change who you are. You just change how you say it.
Oh, I love that. Wow, Sharón, it's just amazing. Okay, so have you ever taken a look at, and I just feel like I can sense people are just like waiting for us to call their name out. But let me ask you one more question. Have you ever taken a look at what personality tests like Myers-Briggs or 16PF, how they analyze a person versus how your name science works?
Yes. And in fact, when I get through with my health book, that's going to be the next one. It's going to literally compare my system to the Enneagram and Myers-Briggs and the other things that are out there, because it does the same thing. Only nobody has to sit down and evaluate themselves. You don't have to give extra information. You have the name, you're off and running.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Okay. So let's go ahead and do some more name analyzing here. So next one on the list is Joanna Marie Hull. Unless it's Johanna, I don't know. And she gave us two names, actually, Johanna and Elisha. So
this looks like let's analyze the two to see how they're doing together.
The couple? Okay.
Yes. First of all, I love this combination if this is a couple. I absolutely love it. They so get each other. They have so much in common. And where one needs to do something, the other one is so balanced with them. It is just so nice. And Elisha is literally here on mission. And it's only 2% of the population, is my understanding, that's here on mission. And he's one of them. And he came in with all this intelligence, and she gets it because she's equally as intelligent. You don't want to have brilliance in one name and not the other one, or at least smart or wise or something, because if not, after a while, the brilliant one gets bored. But they both have absolute brilliance in their name and knowing how to nurture each other and a type of organization so they don't drive each other crazy. And Elijah has enough ego that he's strong enough without having any letters that are dominating, that says, I want to be in charge and in control. He doesn't have any of those. He just has a strong enough sense of self that he can balance this brilliant wife that he's got that just is so multi-talented,
Sharón, let me stop you just for a moment. So Joanna has actually commented that Elisha is her son.
Oh, it's
how
her
does that
son.
make it?
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're going to always be close like this. Always close.
Oh.
Okay. And Elijah is just special and is going to pick up all the brilliance. He's going to be a teacher for his mom, at the same time. Now he's got 4 L's. Look at that last name. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's got 5 because he's got 1 in his first name. So my suggestion is never take him to an allopathic doctor unless it's a broken bone and it needs to get set. Other than that, you take him to a naturopathic doctor so he doesn't get misdiagnosed. And if you have to go allopathic, you get 3, 4, 5 opinions before you make a decision, because you don't want a misdiagnosis. And the other thing is, he's such a sweetheart in his name that you need to teach him right away how to deal with bullies.
Oh.
Okay. But you'll always be close. And Mom, you've got it in your name that you're going to self-sacrifice for the ones you love. So just know that that's there.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. So wow, this is so cool for a parent to be able to have that insight. Let me take this comment down. For a parent to have that insight in advance, knowing that, okay, let me get ahead of this bullying thing so that my kid can, feel stronger or more confident or know how to, protect himself, defend himself, that kind of thing. All my other thoughts just went out the window. I really am going to have to watch my own replay here. I am absolutely loving this. Joanna, feel free to comment. I don't know if you already have how that resonates with what you do know about you and your son already. Would love to hear your thoughts on that. I had some other comment. It's going to come back to me. So let's just choose another name and that question will come back. So let's see who else here would like a name analyzed. Oh, I see one here. Bam. Kathy Maljon Measures. I hope I'm pronouncing the middle name right, Kathy. And let me add something. So as you can see, Kathy goes by Kate, C-A-T-E. Mm-hmm. I know you mentioned emphasis on the birth name, but does it matter if you go by Kate and yet?
Okay, so whatever the birth name is, that literally gives me the timing of when in your life you're going to be focused on what and what's coming. That tells me my timing. It tells you the purpose of one's lifetime, tells you your strengths, your challenges. It gives you your problem solving. It gives you all of it. Okay, everything's sitting in the birth name. Now, when they go by a name, it all altered. So it can be a nickname, they've changed the name, whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever name they're going by, that says how they're going to go about solving and learning what's in their birth name. So the example I always give really quickly is, let's say your birth thing says that you've got to be able to get from LA to New York. And let's say it says you're going to walk. And after a while, you're walking. And after a while, you say, I'm getting some bad weather and sores and blisters, and I don't like this. So I'm going to change my name. It doesn't change the fact you still need to get from LA to New York. But if you change your name, now you can give yourself an option. Am I going to take a bus? Am I going to hitchhike? Am I going to drive? Am I going to take an airplane? How am I going to get there? It still means you've got the same destination, the same things you want to learn, but how you go about learning it changes.
Wow, that's so it just can become easier and you see things differently.
Or sometimes it can become harder. I had a lady in California that write me, because I help people change their names when they want to do that, or create business names and product names. But anyway, so this lady said, I really want to change my name because I'm having a horrible life, and I've picked these 5 names, and which of these is better for me? I mean, it was like, okay, you're going to do my job for me. And I looked at the names and I thought, oh my God, you have been abused your entire life, from your birth name, from your married name. You have been physically abused and tortured. And I said, no wonder you want to change your name. And then I looked at the 5 she picked and I thought all 5 say the same thing. I said, honey, you don't want to pick any of these. You're not going to change and pull in people that aren't going to be mean. You got to change those last names. Let me help you pick a last name. Let's get rid of that pulling in, the tough guys that want to beat you up. But I thought, she wants to get away from this, but she naturally picked other names that said the exact same thing.
Wow. Well, so what else can you tell us about Kathy Maljon Measures,
Okay, so Kathy knows how to stand up for herself, and she knows how to deal with confrontation. Okay, she can create, she's learning how to create and situations that she can benefit from. So she's really here learning how to manifest. Let me put it that way. Okay. And she's learning how to be the one in charge. So Kate needs to be in charge as many times as she possibly can, because that's how she's going to grow. She learns when she's the one in charge. She has a really generous heart. She's really good to other people. Your name, Kate, says that you need to stay athletic and able to stay healthy. So always have some kind of a physical routine. Okay. And that you have a tendency to be a workaholic, but you make a great couch potato at the end of the day. When it's done, it's done. If somebody else could go to the bathroom for you and you didn't have to get up, you'd say, hey, let's go for that. So it's one extreme or the other.
Sounds like a nice balance between work hard, play hard.
Yeah, work hard or just boom, I'm done.
Okay, thank you so much for that one. Let me take her name down. This was what I wanted to ask you earlier when we were looking at Johanna and Elijah, and it looks like that was a positive. She had a positive response to that. I wanted to ask you about self-care. What?
It's all in the name. Exactly what you need to do for you. Like some names, they need so much privacy. They just need their alone time because they need to reflect and they need to be by themselves. And then they can be very gracious with people, but they need their private time. It shows up in a name if somebody's very outgoing or they're trying to escape. Okay. Like it'll show up like if they're going to be drinking to lower their vibrations so they can get along with everybody, because if not, they don't feel like they fit in because they're just smarter than everybody. Okay. That shows up in a name. It shows up if you're honest in all ways, except for when you're dealing with money. Okay. It shows up if you're a psychopath. It shows up if if you're just mean, if you're hard to be around because you just have a mean streak. I mean, all that shows up. At the same time, generosity and love and nurturing and goodness and all of that show up. And then habits show up, neatness or slobs or clutter. Or, I mean, all of that shows up in a name. Your learning style shows up in a name. What kind of gifts you like show up in a name. For an example, you're the first vowel of an I. It always lands in the first vowel. Doesn't matter if it's like the first letter, like in Irina, or the second letter, like in Kim, or maybe it's the third letter. It doesn't matter as long as it's the first vowel. But the I's, for gifts, they always have a list. They know what they want. And they don't care about the price. They just get me something off my list. Don't get creative. Don't try to get me something you think I want or need. Just buy me off the list. Then I know you love me enough to ask to see my list and to go out and do it.
I have to say this. I once, years ago, had someone suggest to me, they were trying to help me, and they suggested, well, what if you stopped making lists? I freaked out. I freaked out. I was like, no, that would be like the worst thing you could do. That would stress me out more. I want my list.
Yeah, just ask them, what's on your list? Let me see. I'm going to scratch this one out. I'm going to get you that one. They're the easiest people to buy for because they literally, it's like pick. Where's your budget off this list? Get them that.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so we are going to look at more names. We've got a short amount of time here, but I do love to learn about my guests. And so here's what I want to ask you next, Sharon. I know this is an analytical thing for you. It's an actual science. And
it's actually teachable. It's teachable. And I have 2 more classes this year, one in person starting the last week in August and one online if you want that one. And for your guests, Kim, if they want to sign up and say, hey, I heard about this on Kim's show, then after they've paid, they can bring a friend for free.
Oh, Sharon. Okay, so how do they find out about that? That has nothing to do with my question, but let's find out about that now.
They go to my website, knowthename.com, and then you go under services, and then you see level 1.
Knowthename.com, services level 1.
Right. And so if you're going to take it online or in person, you can pay for it, but you get to bring a friend for free. So you guys can decide, are you going to split the cost? Is somebody going to treat, or if somebody's going to pay for the seminar and the other one's going to pay for the hotel and the transportation. I mean, however you want to do it. But it's August 31st through September 2nd. It literally takes 15 hours, and you learn this because I'm a good teacher. I've had 40 years in the classroom. So anyway, so you learn it. It took me 15 years to discover it and work it all out, and I can teach it to you in 15 hours. And so far, everybody's gotten it in that time. So far, I don't have any like, oh my God, we couldn't get it right. And then I do it online. I think it's the second week in December, but the dates are there. And either one, if they want to sign up and say, hey, I heard about you on Kim's show, then after the one person has paid, we'll write them and say, who's your guest? And we'll put them both down.
Wow, that is so exciting. I'm so glad you shared that. So, okay, thank you for that. So here's what I wanted to ask you though is this is something that you actually, it's a science. It's something you analyze. It's not like you're psychic. And yet I think people flock to you like a psychic because everyone wants to know what
I can give a lot of the same answers. A lot of people will call me and say, just tell me about your intuition. Well, I do have intuition because I've been a meditator since I was 18. So I can look at a name, but I think my intuition is telling me what to pull out first because there's so much information in a name. Or maybe it's easier for me to see how the patterns go together just because I've seen patterns my whole life, but I teach it. So, I mean, everybody else is able to do it too. So it's like, okay. And then, since so many people want to know what you can tell them about their name, how do you kind of like, turn this off and take care of you so you can continue to rejuvenate, take care of yourself, and then be good to go next time you want to start up again? Well, I do one of 3 things every day. I either am going square dancing for 2 hours, or I'm going to swim laps for an hour in the pool, at the YMCA or whatever it's called. Anyway, or I'm doing that, or I'm quilting. So I'm either quilting or swimming or doing square dancing. And therefore, that's my time, and that's what I love to do. And you will often find me well, nobody will find me there, but I have to correct that. Soaking in the tub and reading. And I love to do that for a half hour every day.
Do you ever just say, nope, I'm not answering email right now, or I'm not going to answer my phone, and just kind of tune everyone out so you can do your quilting?
That irritates everybody, but I turn off the phone for 4 hours every day while I'm writing on my book. That's my discipline. So that I have an assistant. She's fabulous. So Grace needs to take care of things during that 4 hours. She knows if there's an emergency, how to get a hold of me. But for 4 hours every day while I'm writing, the phone is off and I'm not disturbed.
Nice. So the other thing I want to ask you is, I didn't say this at the beginning, but this is the inspirational interview show about moving forward and choosing to embrace a positive outlook. And I'm wondering if you would just share with us maybe a time in your life when you had to make a deliberate choice to, shift a limiting belief, or a deliberate choice to focus on the positive, so to support you in moving forward, or something of that sort. Is there anything you can share with us?
In today's world, 50%, I just was reading this the other day, that 50% of the marriages today end in divorce. And if it's a second marriage, it's 60%. And I would think it would go down instead of up, because you've already learned, hopefully, from the first one. But anyway, when I decided to get divorced, it was because he made a decision and actions that were not within my level of integrity. They were in his, but not in mine. And I couldn't live with those. I mean, it was a conscious choice, a conscious decision. And so I loved him dearly, but I said, we're not going to deal with any kind of abuse. It's not going to happen in my house. And so I left with the kids and then got a divorce. And that was the hardest decision I have ever made in my entire life, because my entire belief system said, you marry for better, for worse. You stand by somebody. You don't desert them when they're going through and having problems. You hang in there. You support your friends and the people you love. And I loved him so tremendously. And I mean, I can always just say he's been the love of my life. And I had to leave for my children's safety and for mine. And that was difficult. So how do you get through that? Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, my heart hurt. My kids both became suicidal. I mean, it was a real learning for a while. Very difficult, because they all love their dad. And I can tell you that I took Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life. I took one chapter at a time until I could say that prayer that's in the back of every chapter in the mirror, looking at it without crying and believing it. I didn't move to the next chapter. It took me 8 months to get through that book. And I had to keep saying, I have to be positive, because I have 2 kids that are hurting. So it doesn't matter that I'm hurting, and I thought, wow, this is not a good household with 3 people really in pain, And so anyway, that was very difficult, and to stay positive. And the beautiful thing is, that's so long ago now. I mean, I have now been divorced. It'll be 30 years this September. So it's been a long time ago. But I look at it and I think everybody's healed. Everybody gets along. My kids are very close to their dad. He's really healed and turned things around, and he's making a really good go of his second marriage. And I mean, it's a really happy ending, but it was very, very difficult at the time. And just think, 50% of marriages go through that.
Yeah.
So, so how do you do that? And the only good thing was we didn't argue over possessions. He said, go through the house, and what do you think should happen? And I said, I think this should go to you and this should go to me, whatever. I went through the whole house, and he looked at me and he says, wow, you're really fair. And I thought, shoot, I have fairness in my name. Hello, I'm not going to be anything but, but anyway, I mean, it's a happy ending now, and we stayed friends.
Oh, that's so good.
So it's initially.
Thank you for sharing that. I love that. I can certainly relate to that from experiences I've had, and I can think of other people going through similar situations. And it sounds like, I imagine there were a variety of other things that came in to support you in moving forward. But
oh no,
oh no, okay.
I did this without any support, and I moved in the middle of nowhere with my kids, so that everybody who wanted to shame us or give us guilt wasn't going to be around us.
Well, wow. Okay. Well, and I really meant, I think, like over the long haul, right? Like things started to shift, and hopefully, right? Because now you're happy.
Yeah, of course. But I did it through I've been a meditator since I was 18, so that continued. And I have a great, strong faith that everything happens in our best interest, even when we can't see it. So
Nice.
my daily prayer is when something that I would term not good happens, I always say, okay, guys, where's the silver lining in this? Help me see the silver lining. Why
There we
is this
go.
happening? It's like, how do you look at something? I know everything has a purpose. I don't believe that there's mistakes and errors and whatnot. I believe we're here to learn and grow, and that sometimes we choose the hard way versus the easy way, or somebody we love chooses the hard way and it affects us.
And hindsight, it's so true that hindsight is 20/20, right? You don't know it in the moment, but looking back, you can go, oh, now I get it.
Yeah, now I get it. And I will tell you, it has helped me so tremendously because of the heartache I've gone through, and then the difficulties of being a single parent and living on a low-paying teacher salary, and different things that my kids went through. And God bless them, they're beautiful, beautiful beings. And I look at it and I think it gives me such compassion to what I see in people's names. And I think, wow, look what you're having to put up with. And oh, wow, look what your lessons are. And, it's kind of like that story that if we all put all of our problems in the center, and then they said, you have to take the same number of problems you came in with, but you can take anybody's, we all pick up our own. We wouldn't take anybody else's, but it's built a great deal of compassion and non-judgment. And, and I marvel at how strong the human spirit is.
Yeah.
I just marvel at it. And when people complain, I think, oh my gosh, you have no idea. It's not that bad. Oh, this too shall pass, but it's okay. Right. We'll all help you get through it if you want help, and that's what counts.
That. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I did just remember we started a little bit after the hour. So Sharon, are you okay going just a little bit after the hour?
Yes.
Okay. Sure. So I think we've got a few more people that want their name analyzed. Okay. So again, if you're watching us live, definitely be sure to tune in at Kim O'Neill Coaching on Facebook, and you can participate in the live shows. But let's move on with our names. So, okay, we have here Betty Joan Wilder.
Interesting. So, Betty, one of the things you came in to learn how was to emotionally gain an emotional intelligence because you bring to you angry people, okay, or people that are off balance, and people who need to learn through experiences. And because you're the detective, you always want to get to the bottom of everything. You always want to know everybody's story. It seems like they explode for you, so then you can turn around and help them. But it's sometimes very challenging for you to say, okay, I'm not going to take this personally, even though it's going to feel very personal, right? And then to be able to help the person that came in, because you came in with a lot of knowledge and brilliance and creative thinking and wanting to make the world a better place and knowing how to nurture and this generosity of spirit. And so this entire lifetime is about gaining emotional intelligence and how do you deal comfortably with anger, other people's anger, not yours.
Wow. So Betty, would love to know your thoughts on that. And I see here we have some comments from Joanna Hull, the one who we talked about, her, mother-son.
Yes.
Joanna and Elisha. And she's actually shared a few comments. I'd love to get your take on this. She says he has Asperger's, sensory disorders, spinal conditions, cysts, and connective tissue disorders, loss of functions. He's amazing. And then she goes on to say, he was always my warrior in the womb. And then she goes on to say, how do I figure that out for him? He has many health problems. I'm not quite sure what how do I figure that out for him is. But
so not that we're diagnosing.
Right. Okay. No.
The patterns in his name show that the underlying cause of the majority of the health issues that sit in his name is Epstein-Barr. And that there's like 60 strands of Epstein-Barr, and you've got to figure out which strand and how to get rid of it and do the detox. Okay. So I would really look into that just because it was such a pattern in his name for Epstein-Barr. Okay. And then you can go have a doctor diagnose it, and one that really knows Epstein-Barr and not. Sometimes when the doctors will do it, they'll say, well, he had it, like it's gone, but it doesn't, it gets buried. So if he ever had it, he has it, type of thing. So you got to get somebody who really knows what they're doing. But I would look at that. And there is a combination in his name that says very easily he could be Asperger's. And that would come from, it could have come from inoculations or vaccines or whatever. But what you do with this, your son has so much love to give. You can teach him. And I have seen so many people with Asperger's marry the most wonderful people and have these loving relationships. So don't give up on that. Just keep working with him and teaching him. And remember, he came in to teach you a lot of things. We said that at the beginning. And this is what you're learning from him, is how to handle all of this and how to love without judgment through it, even though sometimes it's really demanding.
Oh my goodness, Sharon. Okay, I love that you brought that back to how he's here on a mission. I remember you said that as well. He's here on a mission and here to teach his mom. And wow. Joanna, thank you so much for adding all that extra detail, all those extra details about your son, so that we could take a look at that and hear Sharon's insight. My goodness, that was amazing. So I don't see any other names here, but I would like to give you a couple of names too.
Okay.
If that's okay. Okay. So Jackie O, and in fact, I guess I can probably type it in here.
Is it spelled the normal way, Jackie?
Yep.
Okay. And O is the first. Okay.
In fact, here, I'll give you the full. It's okay. Jackie Odell.
Okay. So she's got a very generous heart. She's absolutely brilliant. Okay. But she's learning how to use her brilliance, and she's learning how to be comfortable with her own intuition, because she has it, but her name says she's kind of scared of it and kind of wishes it was go away and it wasn't there. And she's not always comfortable with emotions. It's kind of like, can we bury those and not have to deal with those too? You know? So that's just harder for her. She's a lot more comfortable in her head and being mental, and especially with all of her brilliance. She's really good at thinking on her feet. When she leads, she learns, and it's good for everybody else. It's got that combination in there. Very, very independent person. You know, she doesn't want to be underneath somebody else's thumb. When she's learning something new, she wants somebody right there next to her in case I make a mistake, or or I have a question, I have a low, frustration level. You need to answer right away so I can keep going. But the minute she catches on to what she's learning, then it's like, okay, go away, leave me alone. I got it. Don't micromanage me. So it's like, stay right here. But the minute I'm secure, it's like, okay, now get out. And so she knows how to nurture, but she wants to pick who, when, where, and how. In other words, don't tell her how to nurture. She's figured out how to do it on her own way and on her own terms. And so that's really good. The biggest challenge in her name, from the part of her name that I can see, is that she has self-confidence, but she doesn't know her own worth and value.
Oh, wow. Okay, she had requested, she's not here with us live, but she had requested a name analysis. So that's why I threw her in there. And taking a quick look, I don't see any other new name requests. So we will start to wrap it up. But Sharon, wow. So first off, I'll just say thank you so much for being here today and sharing.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah. Okay, so you've already mentioned you've got some training classes coming up. You're going to be working on your third book soon. Is there anything else you would like to share with us that you haven't yet about what's next for you?
Oh, well, what's next? I have the outline for 10 books in my computer, so I will keep writing. I feel like I've gained a lot of knowledge over my years, and being in the classroom and being a school administrator in the past has just taught me tremendously of what really happens and about personal relationships. And so I love being able to share that knowledge. If somebody wants a consultation with me, I'm not sure at the website right now. We seem to be having some problems. So if you're going to the website and contact me, I may or may not get it. But the email address that comes right in is neimology@gmail.com. And Neimology is spelled Neim and then Ology. It's the Latin spelling for name. And I love being able to do that with people, because it just releases so much anxiety that people have. Like, especially if I say something to the effect of, oh, you have clutter in your name and you need to have clutter around. And I tell you why you have clutter and what it's doing for you and how it's serving you. What I find is more people with clutter go, oh, I can stop judging myself for my clutter. And not judging yourself, because you understand why you're doing something and why you need it. And then you can pull it in or rein it in, or let it out if it's something that needs more expansion. And it just gives you freedom. Knowledge is freedom.
Yeah, it really is.
And so I love doing that for people, because I keep thinking that if we all knew Neimology Science, wouldn't that be wonderful? We could see each other for who they really are and why they're here and what they're learning. And everybody that's learned Neimology Science has said, my judgments have gone away. I don't judge anybody for anything anymore. I see it. It's in their name. I understand why they did this or that. I see it. And I can see why they're learning it. And all judgments go out the door. And wouldn't that be amazing if none of us judged another person? We'd all end up getting along.
Absolutely. So stop judging others, stop judging ourselves, just release it all.
Yeah. So, but I'm starting a new thing. And if anybody wants to help me, I'm starting a thing. I'm starting a podcast that's going to start at the end of next month. And it's all about, I have my own radio show that's Know the Name, Know the Genius in You. But that's all about everybody else and how they do their genius and how their name shows up in their world. But this one is for HR personnel. And I just want to hear from people that are HR that I can interview, and they can bring me a problem and we're going to solve it on air. So it's like free consultation on air on the podcast, because I figure that from the HR departments I'm working with, a lot of them have the same issues. And why not have HR communicating with HR through a podcast? And it'll, like I said, it'll start at the end of next month, where we interview. They're going to be short, quick. Here's the problem. Here's a solution. And so we're going to help people get from the right people into the right jobs. That's our goal, and solve those employee or staff, little things that come up.
That's going to be a hit, Sharon. That's everyone's going to love that. That's the coolest. This is the coolest thing ever. So, well, good luck with that. I wish you all the best. And if you're open to it, I would love to have you back on this show.
Oh, I would love that, Kim.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Just a pre-invite, putting it out there now. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I don't really want to, but I don't want to take up more of your time. And hasn't this been amazing? Oh my gosh. I would love to hear your other feedback. We've had so many good comments in here. We have Nicole saying amazing. Thank you. We have Betty. Thank you, Sharon. And Joanna, you got it. I am Mama Bear. So you can just see how on the spot, how accurate these name analysis descriptions are, and how cool that is. So again, Sharon, what was the website? knowtheperson.com?
Well, the book is Know the Name, Know the Person, but the website's the first half of the title, which is Know the Name, because every book I'm writing starts with Know the Name and then something else. Like Know the Name, Know the Person is personality. Know the Name, Know the Spirit is all about the soul. Know the Name, Know the Health will be coming up in December, which is all about what predispositions you have. And then I'm going to be working on Know the Name, Know How to Sell for salespeople, because that's all sitting there in the name. And then there's got to be the one that's Know the Name, Know the Personality type, which is going to be comparing it with the Myers-Briggs and all of those, because I have in my head so many ideas, and it's just time to get it all out.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for all the work that you have done to share with us what you've done to date, because it is very insightful for us to learn about ourselves and learn about others and relationships and all that. So thank you for being here and sharing today. And for you out there, I am so grateful that you've been here today. Please do leave a comment to let us know how you enjoyed this show, what your thoughts are, what any questions you might have are. And hey, if you had a similar name that Sharon was able to, provide insight on for you, do go ahead and let us know how that resonates for you as well. And you can always find out more by going to Facebook at Kim O'Neill Coaching, or go to KimO'NeillCoaching.com and find out more about the show, find out more about the personal empowerment and interview confidence coaching that I provide. And I would love to hear from you. So remember that every day is always a new day, and it's always about how you choose to move forward and where you place your focus, and choosing to embrace a positive outlook to the degree that feels right for you, so that you can start to move forward and experience more joy and all that in your life. So thank you for being here with us today.
In your name, it says that the older you get, the more psychic you get. So when you're giving coaching, you will pick up things that other people won't, because you have that psychic ability that lies dormant until somebody says something and it needs to come out. So that's cool. That's in your name. I'm so glad you're using it in coaching.
Oh my gosh, Sharon, thank you so much for saying that. Okay, I have so many comments to add about that, but I love that. So thank you. Well, okay, so there you have it. Hello. So if you want to coach with me and you want to get a little psychic intuitive insight, I don't even know when it comes out. It just comes out. So awesome. Well, thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed this show. And, let's keep in touch so that you can be informed about future shows. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.